Hi class. In Google Classroom, you see posted this assignment. It says Chapter 9, Unit 4, the American Revolution Notebook Assignment. And you have two attachments to that assignment. You have a PDF of Chapter 9 from your social studies book, and you have a place to type your notes for Chapter 9. I've opened my PDF in an app called Cami, which will allow me to annotate it. So I'm going to go with you to lesson 1, and I'm going to do some of the notes with you to get you started on taking notes digitally. Okay, so lesson 1. And here's the vocabulary from Quizlet. The first heading is personal hardships. Personal hardships. And I know I'm going to look for loyalists, patriots, women, African Americans, American Indians, and settlers in the West. Personal hardships. The approval of the Declaration of Independence showed that the colonial leaders had united against Britain, but the colonists themselves were not united. Okay. Many faced the difficult decision of whether to support independence or to remain loyal to the British king. So they had to decide whether they were going to be loyalists or patriots. People in the colonies who supported independence called themselves patriots. People who supported independence were called patriots. Those who remained loyal to the king were called loyalists. And then there were some in the middle who were neutral. I'm going to try to draw a little sketch over here. You can have your patriots. Will it let me do it? It won't let me do it. Let's see. Patriots. Wow, that's messy. Loyalists. And then in the middle are neutrals. Okay, your neutrals aren't on either side. Okay. So people in the colonies who supported independence called themselves patriots. Those who remained loyal to the king called themselves loyalists. Some colonists, however, chose to be neutral. They took neither side. As people took sides, towns, friendships, and families were sometimes torn apart. One patriot woman stayed in Boston while loyalist members of her family moved away. Wow. Now I have to erase those scribbles. She wrote, "When I seriously reflect that I have lost my father, mother, brother, and sisters, I am half distracted in shock." Colonists faced other personal hardships. Often their towns were robbed and destroyed by the British Army. In 1776, for example, British soldiers burned many areas of New Jersey. They even stole beds from colonist houses. In some cases, the colonists destroyed their own possessions to keep the British from taking them. Some patriot men and women burned their crops, the plants that they're growing, whether they were cash crops or food crops. They burned their own crops before the British Army arrived. Their actions made sure that the British could not harvest the crops for food. Okay, so we saw the word hardship a few times. Let's find that. Okay, I'm going to go to green for hardships. So one thing about the word hardship is it means something that's difficult. And it's not letting me highlight the word. Whoa. Okay. Hardships are difficult. Okay, so what things were difficult? Families were separated. Okay. Food, crops were burned. Property was destroyed or stolen. Okay, those are all hardships. So let's look at our notes chart. What can we add here? Personal hardships of loyalists. could split up families and friendships. And you could say the same for the Patriots as well. It was very divisive. Those who wanted to stay loyal to Britain and those who wanted to go full into independence. Okay. Personal hardships for women. So far we have something here about, what did she say? She's in shock. Okay. Being torn apart from her family members. So the pain of losing family because of their position in the war. Destruction of possessions. So far we haven't learned much about this yet. Okay. Pain of losing family. We can add that here. Losing family, losing possessions. Like a bed. Did I spell that correctly? No. And crops. Okay. I guess we can add that here as well. Oops. And if we find more, look, I just need to press return and I have another bullet point to add. Okay. Economic hardships. Losing property and crops. Takes a long time to grow your crops, so burning them can definitely have a great impact on trading. Imagine there's less to trade with the destruction and selling, the destruction and stealing of property. Now, these words we haven't gotten to yet, so let's go back to our sections and keep reading. Okay, personal hardships. American imports from Britain. Here's something about trade. So the value in British pounds of imports, what they're bringing in, the value imports from Britain goes up a lot here. Imports from Britain decreased as Congress printed more money, right, to pay for the war. But there was an inflation in the value of those goods. Interesting. Let's see what we can learn more about that here. Economic hardships. Americans faced economic as well as personal hardships during the Revolutionary War. One problem was a shortage of imported goods. British ships set up blockades. That's just what it sounds like. You're blocking so ships can't get in. British ships set up blockades so that other ships could not unload goods at American ports. As the shortage of goods grew worse, Americans faced severe wartime inflation, or what does inflation mean? An increase in the price of goods. Now, if you look at this again, the value of the goods imported increases from being worth 200,000 British pounds to 800,000 British pounds in 5 years. And that's what happens when you have a lot of money printed and it's not necessarily backed by, for example, a gold standard. The value of the money is less, so it takes more money to buy something. Inflation meant that the colonists needed more money to buy goods and services. In just 2 months, the price of wheat and beef doubled. Another cause of inflation was the falling value of continental money. In order to pay for the war, the Second Continental Congress was printing more currency. Currency here is another word for money. Currency, money. Okay. By printing too much, however, the government caused its money to become less valuable. Aside from inflation, another problem Congress had trying to finance or pay for the war was that it could not raise money through taxes. The states had to give permission before new tax laws could be passed. To make matters worse, some farmers and shopkeepers began profiteering. Profit means to make money. Profiteering means you are charging extra high prices for their crops or goods. Considering the context of the coronavirus pandemic, the cost of certain goods on Amazon have gone up a lot because people are profiteering. They can charge extra high prices for masks and toilet paper and so forth. Laws were soon passed saying how much farmers could charge for their food. These laws also made it illegal for people to hoard, which means, if you ever see the show Hoarders, to collect and hide large amounts of goods and materials. And in this COVID crisis, that would be the people stockpiling toilet paper again. Why? Often, however, these laws were made, but they were ignored. And that's the problem with laws. If you can't enforce it, it's not worth much. So, what effect did inflation have on the economy? So let's look at our notes here. We'll have to get back to this. Okay, what did it have on the economy? Less to trade. Okay, money or currency was printed. So it decreased in value. Okay. Congress, economic hardships of Congress. I'm not sure what that is referring to. Let's look back at that. The Second Continental Congress. Where was that? Oh, that's I'm looking in the wrong section. Pardon me. Okay, printing more currency in order to pay for, yep. Okay, continental money, pay for the war. Okay, so that's what we need to add. So they have to pay for the war. And you think about war. War is very expensive. You have to have weapons of war. You have to have people who are leading the battles, all the supplies to feed all of those people too. To pay for the war, printing more money, and the value of continental currency was diminishing, decreasing, going down. It was falling. That sounds good. Okay. So bread is made from wheat, right? So wheat and beef, so probably two things that people depended on for food, doubled in price. Right? So if we go to the store and we can buy a nice loaf of bread, maybe for $4, maybe $5. If we go in next week and suddenly it's $8 to $10, that's inflation. They've doubled in. Okay, so to finish off, make sure that you can answer the first few questions here, 1, 2, and 3 especially. That would be a good review for you. Question 6 again is that more creative question, and one idea for projects would be to take a question 6 and turn it into a project. And you only need to have one project for the rest of the year that you present to me. Okay, so let me show you quickly. I'm not going to read everything to you, but I want to show you that the next section's women in the war, African Americans, people in the Western lands, including Native Americans. That is where you're going to be reading to find the information that you're going to need in these sections. Okay? and finding the definitions. I'll see you next time.